is your Chapter 1, Section 1 video notes, and we're going to be talking about two different learning targets today. Your first learning target is going to be how to graph integers on a number line, and then your second learning target is going to be able to find the absolute value of an expression. So we're going to start with our first learning target. We're going to talk about integers. So an integer is any number, any whole number on a number line. And a number line is what you see below. And there are decimals, there are fractions that are hidden in between integers on a number line. But an integer is considered anything that is on the number line listed as a whole number. So if we look at this number line down here, we start with 0. And your numbers to the right of 0 are going to gradually get larger. So if we were to fill out this number line with our integers, let's start with things going to the right. So after 0, we're just going to count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it could go on and on and on and on forever. Okay, so notice how between these two tick marks we could have 3.5 or 3.5, but we're not listing those on the number line. So these are going to be our integers that we're talking about. So anything to the right of 0, those are all positive numbers, and they're gradually getting larger. Now anything to the left of 0 is going to be getting smaller. So what would be the first thing? If I'm counting down after 0, it would be -1. And so -2 is even smaller, and so on. So these can go on forever and ever as well. So whenever we're doing any work with integers, it's important or helpful to visualize this number line. So anything to the left of 0 is going to be a negative number. Alrighty? Alright, so these are our integers on our number line. And let's talk about a coordinate. So a coordinate is going to be talking about this number line, and it's a number that corresponds to an integer on the number line. So an integer on the number line. So if I said graph the coordinate of +8, a coordinate would be like a point on the number line. So this point right here is also called a coordinate. Coordinate of 8. Alright, so if I wanted to do the coordinate of -5, notice how I'm putting the point. The coordinate is right on that number line. It's not above it, it's not below it, it's right on the line. Alright, so let's do some examples related to that. You're going to graph these points on the number line. So F has a coordinate of 7. So notice how the numbers are not listed here. So you're going to have to count up. So if I were you, I would pause the video and I would try this on your own and then see if you got it correct. Okay? Alright, so F is going to go at 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know it's a positive number, so my coordinate's going to go right here. I'm going to label it as F. Okay? And then U has a coordinate of -8. So I'm going to count all the way to -8. You could put the number here if you wanted. I apparently want to do that for this one, but not for that one. But this is going to be the U coordinate. And then the N coordinate is going to be right at 0. Oops. You know what? I didn't put my coordinate here. It's important. Alright. And then my coordinate of a 0 is going to be right on 0, and it's going to be called N. Alrighty? Next section here, you're going to write an integer for each situation. So for this section, you're going to write an integer, -1, +6, 10, -1, anything like that that would go with this information. So I'd like you guys to try this and see how you do. So I'll give you a couple of them. Again, pause it if you want to try it on your own. So A says a deposit. So a deposit would be when you are putting money into the bank, and that makes your bank account go up. So that means that this would be a positive 300. Okay, so go ahead and try B on your own. All right, C, 10 seconds before takeoff. So I'm counting down, but those are positive integers. So 10 seconds before takeoff would be 10, positive 10. And then you try D. And then a gain of 25 yards, a gain, that's our key word, so it would be positive 25. Okay, and try F. All right, our next learning target for this section talks about absolute value. So absolute value is an important definition that you need to get down. The absolute value stands for the distance the number is from 0 on a number line. So I have my little number line here, and I have some questions for you to consider. So I have a monkey and a mouse, and the first question asks, where is the mouse? So I see my mouse is right here, and it's standing on the coordinate of 3. And then it asks, how far is the mouse from 0? So if I was giving directions about where this mouse is, what would you say? Well, let's see. It's 1, 2, 3 spots from 0. So 3, and to what directions? It's 3 spaces to the right of 0. That's how I would describe where the mouse is. Now my next question is asking about the monkey. Where is the monkey? The monkey is at -3, the coordinate of -3. And how far is this monkey away from 0? Well, this monkey is 1, 2, 3, 3 spaces, but this time to the left. Okay, so why did I have you do this? Both of these animals are 3 spots away from 0, even though they're standing at different coordinates. This guy was at +3, this guy was at -3, but both of them are just 3 spots away from 0. And that's what absolute value is talking about. Absolute value of any number is always going to be positive because it's the distance a number is from 0. And all of our numbers, no matter where they are always going to be a positive distance from 0. So this is how we portray absolute value. Absolute value is going to have these little tick marks on the side, and it's going to be the this means what's the distance -3 is from 0? What is the absolute value of -3? Well, it's 3 spots away from 0, just like we had up here. What's the absolute value, or the distance from 0 would be 3. Okay? So that's what absolute value is. So now you're going to practice some of these. What's the absolute value of these numbers? So I'm going to do some of them with you. Go ahead and pause if you feel like you'd like to try it, but you need to try some of these. So what's the absolute value of, let's try C first. Why don't you guys try A and B? So this looks like they want me to add 2 numbers together, but first I need to cover up and just focus on one thing at a time. So what's the absolute value of -9, which is +9, plus what's the absolute value of 3? So now I have no more absolute values. I can just add those 2 numbers together. My answer would be 12. Now this one, this negative sign is on the outside of my absolute value. So you're going to just bring that down. And then when it asks you for the absolute value of 4, well, the answer to that is just 4. But my final answer is going to be negative because this negative had to be brought down from my original answer. Okay? You should be able to try the rest of these on your own and check your answers. And you are done with section 1. Congratulations. You should know how to find the absolute value and put numbers on a number line.